For example, I'll when I'm taking photos of something, I'll envision it in my head, but then I get to add my own twist to it. So that's the idea of freezing time and being able to do something with it is that's for me, that's what photography is. My name is Mark. I am a digital marketer based out of Oakland, but I'm originally from San Jose. I've been doing photography for about 5 years now. I fell in love with it back in high school when I was in a film class. I picked up my first DSLR back in 2011. And I just like the idea of documenting everything. I like to preserve memories. Right around college is when I started to take it more seriously and found out that you can make money with this thing. So I took up gigs on graduation photos. I started to learn about wedding photography. Photography and videography was pretty much my gig up to this point as a side business, but now it's becoming a full-time just because I love it so much. I'm in the process of starting a wedding business with a good friend of mine, David. We recently went live on the social media account and the response has been insane. So that's something I'm looking forward to for sure. Currently, I'm waking up around 6:30 a.m. I start my day with kind of me time for about half an hour to an hour where I literally do everything that's meant for myself, whether it be like self-development, health, exercise, creativity, just to kind of get my mind going. It's important to take a step back and reflect than rather work. It's important to have a few hours and take a step back and not think about anything. So I think it's important to have time for yourself. Lately, what I've been doing is running every morning. So I run about 15 to 20 minutes. Nothing too hard, usually a mile. And that kind of helps me set the tone for the rest of the day. Once I'm done with that, I'll come and I'll make my own coffee. I use a Chemex to make my coffee just because I'm a fan of delicious coffee. This is my coffee of choice. Phil's coffee. The bean's called So Good. It's a light roast. And that's what it is. It's so good. You have to use a tea kettle when you do this because if you don't have this like thin spout, just create soft circles. It's not going to be an even flow when you're trying to make the coffee. Just the concept of making my coffee in the morning, just being able to do something physical, mechanical, sets the tone for the rest of the day, just like exercise. And so it gets my mind going, and then because I'm always sitting on the computer, it really helps like get the blood flowing. And then I'll be doing agency stuff. So I'll be responding to emails. I try to check emails twice a day and not more. I do all the important work in the beginning because everyone has their own window to when they're creative. For me, I feel like the most creative part of my day is the mornings. That's crazy. Like I said, that everyone's creative clock is different. So I think it's important to structure your day so that way you have the least distractions. The rest of the day would be just deep work. So I'm in charge of content. So okay. I create like social media videos, posts. Kind of like I have a lot of hats in the agency, so I'm kind of like the creative director, like whatever our clients need creatively, the company will go to me. And that's me sitting on the computer, writing, editing videos, all sorts of stuff for the agency, anything that my client needs. I think it went well. A lot of people showed up. There's only 2 people that backed out, and I totally understand it because this is a free event. No one was getting paid. I just wanted people to meet other creatives.
Hi, Maggie.
I think it's important for creatives to network, and I think we did that really well today.
Just like that.
I started going into the realm of digital marketing a couple years ago as an assistant actually for a recycling company. And I was just looking for a marketing position because at the time I wasn't actually sure what I wanted to do with communications, which was my major in college. And so I wanted to try and see what I could do with marketing. And I was the marketing assistant for a recycling company. And I really wanted to learn AdWords. I wanted to learn about advertising and social media. After becoming a marketing assistant, I had a connection in the digital marketing agency world. He picked me up this year actually, January 2019. From there, I just used my mentor and he taught me everything. With digital marketing and photography and videography, I kind of created this role for myself in my job as kind of like the creative director. I'm implementing a lot of digital marketing techniques and skills with creative, which gives me this kind of dual role in the the agency. Depending on the photography that I'll do, I like to implement this thing called just-in-time learning. And basically what you do is you implement techniques that you learned that day. When you're working in agency, sometimes there are certain things that clients want, and it's very specific. In order to kind of achieve the goals of the client, you have to learn on the fly. I don't do too much product photography, but some of the clients that we have want that. And I'm mainly a portrait photographer, event photographer, so I had to learn product photography on the fly. And so I'll just go on YouTube, kind of learn something for like an hour, and then just play around with it. Just go to the studio and just learn it. So we call that just-in-time learning. And you can kind of implement that with anything. It's kind of like studying last minute, learning it like kind of in a certain time frame where you'll get it just like that. You know, that's kind of my process in terms of learning something on the fly in photography, actually.
I like the song on that one. It really shines bright like a diamond, you know?
I'm done.
Now, if I'm shooting people, I have a totally different process. Being a portrait photographer, and I've been one for about a few years now, when you have a foundation for something, the rest of it is just creativity. You don't have to learn new things. At that point, you're kind of just self-exploring different techniques. You just kind of going with the flow at that point. So I do that a lot with my portraits. You know, I like to look back at my Instagram. I like to look back at my portfolio, you know, kind of recreate the shot, but at the same time, get creative with it. I like that style where you can see other elements in a portrait, which kind of gives it some character. Like I said, so I'll look back at my photography and see what I can do differently. I'm really good at just kind of capturing the spur of the moment. One of the great things I like about photography is that it's your perspective that you get to share to the world. People hire people for their eye, which is crazy to me. And so I took photography more seriously. But I just like the idea of being able to create art out of this device that we use and kind of play around with it however we like. Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. I'm a visual learner, and photography definitely plays a role in that.
Percent.
I think it's important to build relationships with people that are in your industry.
So again,
Your circle started to get smaller. So I grew my circle around people that had the same interests.
whoa.
They say that you are like the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So I think it's more important than ever that you surround yourself with people that want you to succeed. There's really no time for someone to bring you down. That's kind of how I've started to surround my own time, by surrounding myself with people that leave a positive impact in my life. I have a friend, she told me that the only thing I could see me doing was creative work. You know, when you get people that believe in you, it's kind of easy to fade the noise and just continue to work on your passions. I think I was fortunate to have family and friends to support my dreams. I think it's really important to kind of branch out of your comfort zone. You know, we talk about being around those 5 people. But I also think it's even more important to reach out to the people that are not those 5 people of influence.
That was good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one we said.
But those people that are outside of your circle, they have to build you somehow. And I want to do more of that. So reach out to the people that have the same passion. Just the collaborative effort. The fact that people were down to team up and just have a good time together.
And then you're gonna garnish on top here. Is that cool? Garnish right there? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Miles kind of ran me through the process, but what are you going to do here?
So I'm gonna pour the Moscato in, place it over. I'm not sure if you want me to place this one right in here, and then drop it over here and garnish on top with the bachelor buttons. So a little bit.
I think it's really important for creatives to collaborate, and I think that's probably my favorite part. I feel like as a creative, you take a lot of pride in your work, and sometimes it's kind of hard to collaborate because of that pride. I feel like with these type of events, there isn't really like a goal, I guess, other than to create work, like content, to create art. And because there isn't like a competition or anything, like I think it's important that to have these kind of events so that way people are not competing against each other. I think one of the things that I'm really good at with photography is being able to take a set of images and tell a story with it. And in my full-time job, I love being able to tell a story that sells. And I think that was just in the past year that I've gotten really good at that. You know, before I was kind of taking photos just for that one shot, just to have that one banger. I've come to realize that photos should be about storytelling. My style has kind of changed to be that. I'll take a set of photos and tell a story with it. The user is able to experience that whole set of photos, you know. rather than just having one photo. So I think that's one thing that sets me apart and what I'm really good at. Photography for me, I would say it's a moment in time where you capture a life moment, and I like the idea of being able to freeze something in time creatively. For example, I'll when I'm taking photos of something, I'll envision it in my head, but then I get to add my own twist to it. So that's the idea of freezing time and being able to do something with it is that's for me, that's what photography is.
Oh, you did?
The way that I feel like I've gotten to this point of my success was just kind of taking a leap of faith in believing what I can do. You combine that with knowing people and knowing that there's people out there that believe in your potential. You know, I was working at the recycling company for a while. You know, I liked the job, but I also wanted to explore more than the 9 to 5. I wanted to explore entrepreneurship. I knew somebody that saw that potential. You know, they saw my Instagram actually. They liked what I had to offer in terms of a storyteller. They just told me that, you know, whenever I had the chance, I could hop on board on this new job. But I was a little scared. This was maybe a couple years ago before I actually took the offer. You know, I said I was scared of leaving the stable job and the unknown. About maybe a year later, I had a realization that I didn't want to stay at this recycling company anymore. The fear was I would be in this job and I would lose my passion because I'd be stuck in the 9 to 5 pretty much. I wanted to take my passion projects farther. And so my fear was that I wouldn't have time to do that. And that was kind of like the motivating factor. I wanted to learn more about digital marketing. I wanted to do more of my craft, which is photography. I felt like I wouldn't have the bandwidth and the time to do both if I stayed with the recycling company.
Yeah, let's have you hold it right there, yeah, and just keep your hand there.
The guy that hired me, he knew that I was into all these things. And he told me that, you know, if you work with us, you know, you'd be able to do what you're passionate about. After a year of like being at the recycling company and not wanting to do it, I took his word for it. And I said, you know what? If the position's still open, you know, I want to do it. He took my word for it and he got me the job, and I'm like forever grateful for that.
Okay, all right, take it to your side. Ready,
One of the things that the agency lives by is doing work that you love and helping people get there. And so just the fact that I'm able to do good work for good people is very satisfying. I'm able to help his business out, but at the same time, it feels very fulfilling, the fact that I get to do that. Moral of the story is you got to take a leap of faith. If there's something that you really want to do, like just do it. If you want to get to a level of success where you're happy, just jump the gun and don't look back.
Okay, I think we're good then. That's good. Yeah. Awesome.
The rest of the day is me working again. Since I have a side hustle of my photography business, the rest of the night is pretty much me working. And I'll either work at home or I'll work at a cafe. My future goals, I want to create some stability financially, and I think I want to possibly live somewhere else. I think after working at the agency, building this potential to do whatever I fit feels like my needs. I'm at a point where I don't know what I want to do yet. It kind of goes back to full circle because, like I said, I'm just trying to build a foundation right now. It's weird to say, like, you think after accomplishing so much, you kind of know where you want to go. But it takes you back to your student again. It's all about testing. It's all about seeing what you can do and fail and learn from that. You can learn or you can succeed, but either way, it's a lesson. So that's what I've learned when I do photography is I'll always get a shot where I'm not happy with it, but then I won't be like, oh, that's it. I'll look at the shot and be like, oh, what can I do better? I'll dissect the issue then rather than just complain about it. And I think that's the key is like to grow, right? I think that's the key word right there. What you're doing right now and what you're going to do in the future, you know, are you going to grow from it? You can kind of take a step back and see the bigger picture and kind of put the pieces together and be like, okay, so what's my next step? You know what I mean? Rather than take a step back and then be like, oh, this is it. Just understand that the process is slow, but stick to the process. Everyone's on their own life time frame. Comparison is the thief of joy, so never look at people and think that like, oh, I'm never gonna be them, because you really are your own person. You have your own time frame. You have your own way of doing things, and you gotta acknowledge that. My creative alias is Marquis Method, so you could find me on Instagram, Twitter, all the socials there, Marquis Method, which is kind of like my photography, and I talk about, nowadays, I'm starting to get more interested into like lifestyle design, more of my writing, but I like to combine that with some photography. So you can look me up there, and that has everything, I would say. So